The worst theme park deaths ever. A green light blinks on a control panel. It means everything is safe. It means the harness is locked, the bolts are tight, the water is clear, and the people inside are protected. That single green light is the only thing standing between a day of laughter and a catastrophe that changes everything. Theme parks are engineered fantasies, machines built to simulate danger while guaranteeing survival. But the gap between simulation and reality is sometimes measured in a single loose bolt, a single ignored warning, a single moment where the system looks the other way. What happens in the seconds after that green light lies? What happens when the fantasy machine fails? These are not hypothetical questions. They are stories that already happened in amusement parks around the world, on ordinary afternoons to ordinary people who paid for a ticket and never came home. The rides looked identical to every other ride that ran that day. The operators looked no different. The warning signs, when they existed, were ignored by staff or missed entirely. Every single one of these disasters follows the same brutal pattern. A flaw existed, a red flag was raised, and someone decided to proceed anyway. This is the full account. This is the worst theme park deaths ever recorded, and every single one of them was preventable. The Orlando Freefall. It is the evening of March 24th, 2022. Icon Park glows against the Orlando night sky, a corridor of neon and motion that pulses with spring break energy. Tyler Sampson, a 14-year-old from Missouri, walks through the crowd with his football teammates, wide-eyed and restless, the way teenagers are when the whole world feels like it belongs to them. They approach the Orlando Freefall, a 430-foot drop tower, one of the tallest of its kind on Earth, and the ride fills their vision like a steel monolith reaching into the black sky above. Tyler is physically larger than most riders his age. He stands over 6 feet tall, his frame built for the football field, not for a seat designed to constrain a much smaller body. The posted weight limit is 287 pounds. Tyler exceeds that limit significantly. No one on staff approaches him. No one produces a scale or a measuring tape. He boards the ride, and an operator adjusts his shoulder harness manually, creating additional space between the restraint and the safety sensor. The control panel registers the adjustment. The green light activates. The system confirms, all clear. The system is wrong. The ride lifts Tyler more than 40 stories into the Orlando sky. The city spreads out beneath him. Lights, roads, parking lots, the thin line of the horizon. For a brief moment there is only altitude and wind, and the sensation of being suspended above everything. Then the drop sequence fires. The tower releases. The ride accelerates toward the earth at over 75 miles per hour. As the braking mechanism engages near the bottom, the sudden deceleration generates enormous compressive force on every passenger. For Tyler, the harness, still separated from his body by the gap that was manually created, cannot hold. He slips through the restraint. He falls approximately 70 feet while the ride is still decelerating. He strikes the concrete below the attraction. He is pronounced dead at the scene, surrounded by the lights of a park that is still running. The investigation reveals what the green light concealed. The harness sensor was designed to detect mechanical engagement, not actual body contact. The gap engineered by the operator's adjustment meant the restraint was never truly securing Tyler at all. The park had received no instruction adequate enough to prevent this sequence of events. Families standing nearby witness everything. Some are still in line for the same ride when it happens. The Orlando Freefall is shut down that night. It is never reopened. The Ohio Oktoberfest. It is a warm Sunday evening, June 9th, 1991. Kings Island Amusement Park in Mason, Ohio, is filled with thousands of visitors. In the Oktoberfest section of the park, near a decorative German beer garden, a small ornamental pond sits behind a low rope barrier. Beneath the surface of that pond, a submerged aerator pump keeps the water circulating. The pump's wiring has been degrading quietly for some time. There is no ground fault circuit interrupter in the system, the one device that would have cut power the moment current began escaping into the water. That device costs almost nothing. It is not installed. At around 9 p.m., 22-year-old Timothy Benning approaches the pond. He reaches out and touches the water's surface. The electrical current that shoots through his arm is enough to knock him unconscious instantly. His body pitches forward over the rope barrier and drops into the electrified water below. His friend, 20-year-old William Hathcote, does not hesitate. Hathcote throws himself over the barrier and into the pond to pull Benning out. The moment his body makes contact with the water, the current seizes him. He convulses and goes still. A 20-year-old park security guard named Darrell Robertson sees both men in the water and races toward them. Robertson does not know about the current. He dives in without hesitation, driven by the instinct to save lives. The electrical charge kills him instantly. His body floats face down in the decorative pond, in a theme park that is still running rides 50 feet away. Benning survives with burn marks. Hathcote and Robertson do not. The park is fined $23,500, roughly the cost of a used car, for 2 deaths caused by a missing safety device that costs a fraction of that. Less than an hour after the electrocutions, the same park claims another life. Candy Taylor, 32, boards the Flight Commander, a spinning aerial ride. Her blood alcohol content is 3 times the legal limit. As the capsule inverts during the ride's rotation, she loses consciousness. Her limp body shifts in the harness. State investigators later identify a design flaw in the restraint system that allows unconscious passengers to slide free. Taylor falls 60 feet to her death. Kings Island accumulates 2 separate fatalities in a single evening. That night becomes known as Black Sunday. The Adventureland Incident. It is August 31st, 2005. Adventureland Amusement Park in East Farmingdale, New York welcomes a group from a residential adult care facility. 24 residents and 5 chaperones, arriving for a day of rides and simple joy. Barbara Brady, 45, boards the Top Scan ride alongside one of her chaperones. The Top Scan features 6 rotating gondolas that spin and invert riders in multiple directions simultaneously. A horseshoe harness lowers over her shoulders and chest. A park attendant scans the control panel. The indicator shows green. The operator starts the ride. The gondolas begin their violent multi-axis rotation, spinning and flipping passengers in directions that test both the mechanical integrity of the harness and the stomach of the rider. At some point during the sequence, Barbara Brady's harness fails. The precise mechanical failure is never satisfactorily explained. What happens next takes only seconds. Brady is ejected from her seat at high speed. Her body clears a 20-foot perimeter wall on the northern edge of the park and crashes through the windshield, of a parked vehicle in the adjacent lot. She is pronounced dead at Middle Island Hospital Medical Center. The investigation confirms what the park quietly already knows. This version of the Top Scan ride lacks the secondary seat belts that other identical models around the world have installed as standard. The omission is not a design oversight. It is a decision that was made at some point and never revisited. 2 days before Brady's death, a park employee was killed by a roller coaster at the same facility. Within 72 hours, Adventureland, a park with 43 years of fatality-free operation, records its second death in 3 days. The Dreamworld tragedy. It is October 25, 2016. Dreamworld theme park on Australia's Gold Coast is operating at full capacity under a bright Queensland afternoon sky. 6 passengers, 4 adults, and 2 children climb into a circular raft at the Thunder River Rapids ride. The attraction has run safely for 3 decades. The ride simulates white water rafting through a channel propelled by powerful water pumps. By 2:04 p.m., the ride has already broken down twice that day. The pumps are struggling. The water level in the channel is inconsistent. When one of the main pumps fails a 3rd time, the water level drops with it. An empty raft becomes stranded on the conveyor belt system at the ride's exit, the section that lifts rafts back up to the unloading platform. With too little water beneath it, the empty raft cannot float free. It sits motionless on the moving conveyor. Operators see it. They do not shut the system down. The raft carrying the 6 passengers reaches the base of the conveyor and collides with the stranded raft. The conveyor keeps moving. It does not care about the collision. It simply keeps moving. The occupied raft is pushed upward by the force of the conveyor, then inverted. The 2 children, ages 10 and 13, manage to scramble free. The 4 adults, Kate Goodchild, her brother Luke Dorset, his partner Ruzi Aragi, and New Zealand tourist Cindy Lowe, are either thrown into the machinery beneath the conveyor or trapped within the raft as it folds against the mechanism. The injuries are catastrophic. The compression forces are enormous. All 4 adults are killed. First responders describe the scene in terms that will stay with them permanently. Dreamworld is fined $3.6 million Australian dollars. The ride is demolished the following year. The conveyor belt that kept moving is gone. The 4 people it took cannot be brought back. The Haunted Castle. It is May 11, 1984. Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey is hosting a crowd of weekend visitors. A group of teenagers from New York City, including 5 seniors from Franklin K. Lane High School, enters the Haunted Castle, a walk-through horror attraction constructed from connected aluminum trailers. The interior walls are lined with foam padding, painted black. There are no sprinklers inside. There are no smoke detectors. There is no emergency lighting. The exits are unmarked. A safety consultant had recommended modifications to this structure. The recommendation was noted. Nothing was done. At 6:35 p.m., a 14-year-old inside the dark corridor uses a cigarette lighter to illuminate a section of the tunnel where a strobe light has failed. The lighter flame touches the foam padding on the wall. The foam does not smolder. It ignites immediately, entirely, and in every direction at once. Within seconds, the black-painted interior is a tunnel of fire. 29 people are inside. Most run toward the entrance, driven by instinct. 9 teenagers run deeper into the maze, believing the smoke and orange glow are part of the attraction. They assume it is designed to frighten them. By the time they understand their mistake, the smoke is too thick to navigate. The 9 teenagers attempt to find their way out through pitch darkness and accelerating heat. They stumble through corridors designed to confuse and disorient. 7 of them find a door at the end of a passage and press against it, clawing at the handle. The door does not lead outside. It is a closet. They press their faces to an air conditioning vent in the wall, trying to breathe what little clean air remains. The carbon monoxide reaches them before the flames do. 8 teenagers die of smoke inhalation and carbon monoxide poisoning. When firefighters finally breach the structure, they initially mistake the bodies for mannequins. The remains are that damaged. 6 Flags holds a scheduled concert that same evening. The park does not close. A jury later acquits the park of manslaughter charges. Each victim's family settles for $2.5 million. The Splash Canyon incident, it is May 9, 2017. Drayton Manor Theme Park in Staffordshire, England, receives a school trip from a girls' academy. Among the students is 11-year-old Eva Janeth. She cannot swim. Around 2 p.m., she boards the Splash Canyon River Rapids ride with 4 classmates. No teacher accompanies them onto the ride. The vessel is a circular boat designed to carry 6 passengers through a fast-moving water channel. Warning signs around the attraction instruct riders to remain seated. During the ride, Eva and the other girls repeatedly stand up and lean over the side, reaching into the water. When the boat strikes a guide barrier, Eva is standing. The impact launches her forward and over the edge of the vessel. She drops headfirst into the water channel, a section that is shallow, only reaching her thighs. She surfaces and appears uninjured. She begins walking through the current toward the exit platform, trying to rejoin her friends. A bystander on the bank shouts for her to stop moving forward. She does not stop. She reaches a section of the ride's wooden travelator, a moving platform designed to assist boat handling, and tries to climb it. The wooden surface is coated in algae. It is saturated and slick. She loses her footing. She falls off the side of the travelator into a much deeper section of the channel. Ride operators are not watching that section of the course. The park's CCTV system does not cover the entire route. 11 minutes pass before staff are alerted that a child is in the water. 6 more minutes pass before she is located, face down in the channel. She is pulled from the water, but it is too late. Eva Janeth drowns at 11 years old on a school trip to a theme park. Drayton Manor is fined £1 million for safety failings. The company enters administration before the fine is paid. The money is never collected. The Ghost Train. It is June 9, 1979. Luna Park in Sydney. Australia operates its ghost train ride beneath a warm evening sky. The attraction has run continuously since 1935. Cars roll along a 590-foot electric track through a dark tunnel filled with mechanical monsters, flickering effects, and decades of accumulated timber framing, all of it painted black, none of it protected by sprinklers or smoke detection systems. A design consultant had submitted a formal recommendation for fire suppression installation 18 months earlier. The park had not acted on it. That recommendation sits in a filing cabinet somewhere while the ride runs its nightly rotations. John Godson boards the Ghost Train with his 2 sons, Damien, aged 6, and Craig, aged 4. His wife Jennifer steps out of the queue to buy ice cream while John takes the boys inside. At 10:15 p.m., fire breaks out somewhere inside the tunnel. The cause is never definitively determined. Some passengers catch the scent of smoke, but assume it is a manufactured effect. By the time the smoke becomes undeniable, the tunnel is already impassable in sections. The design of the maze, built specifically to disorient riders, makes escape nearly impossible in the dark. There is no emergency lighting anywhere inside. Firefighters work for more than 6 hours cutting through the debris. When they finally reach the deepest section of the tunnel, they find John Godson. His arms are wrapped around both of his sons. He died trying to shield them. 4 students from Waverly College, all between 12 and 13 years old, are also found dead in the wreckage. 7 victims total. Jennifer Godson stands outside the park holding 2 melting ice cream cones, while fire crews inform her that her husband and both children are gone. A coroner rules the deaths accidental and finds that Luna Park failed in its duty of care. No criminal charges are ever filed. The missing bolts. It is September 5th, 2003. Disneyland in Anaheim, California is running at full capacity. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, a beloved mine train coaster that has operated without incident since 1979, is cycling through its normal rotations. Marcelo Torres, 22 years old, boards the ride with his best friend. The train is themed to look like an old locomotive racing through southwest rock formations. It is a ride designed for families. It is considered among the safest in the park. What no one knows, including the operators, is that fasteners on the locomotive's left guide wheel assembly were not properly tightened during recent maintenance work. At approximately 11 a.m., the train enters an uphill tunnel. The loose axle drops. It jams against a brake component inside the tunnel structure. The rear of the locomotive kicks violently upward, driven by the momentum of the train behind it. The tow bar connecting the locomotive to the first passenger car snaps under the force. Torres is seated in that first car. The car slams into the underside of the airborne locomotive with brutal force. The collision is not a glancing impact. The structural compression is severe. Torres suffers fractured ribs and lacerated lungs from the blunt trauma. 10 other passengers are injured. First responders take an hour to extract everyone from inside the tunnel. Torres dies from blood loss before he can be stabilized. Disney's internal investigation confirms that maintenance staff failed to properly secure the wheel assembly during the most recent servicing cycle. The oversight was not caught by any inspection. The company settles with Torres's family for an undisclosed amount. As part of the settlement, a memorial scholarship is established in his name, a quiet acknowledgement that the machinery meant to carry him safely through a tunnel instead became the instrument of his death.